Good morning. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. Sun shining, no rain, perfect weather. And I wanted to share something with you. I guess we can call this Cowboy Church today. Been a crazy week with everything going on. A lot of people affected by a series of occurrences in the aftermath of 9/11. So, people are in a little bit of a turmoil. So today I wanted to share something with you that I came across, and it's a Red Steagall song. It's called Wagon Tongue, and I really hope that people would take time to Google that and listen to that song. There's a great piece of advice and wisdom that comes with that song, and it's a great story that I think is pertinent to what's going on in life right now for a lot of people, regardless of their religious beliefs. And it's like this. Back in the 1800s, when cattle drives were a big thing, and there was always a wagon that traveled with these cattle drives, and that wagon was run by a wagon boss or cook, and that cook had a really vital role. And that vital role was not only to provide nourishment and set up camp for these hardworking cowboys, but it was also his role to kind of take care of everybody in the herd so that they could take care of the cattle. And one of the things that they used to do was, at the end of a long day, after feeding the cowboys their evening meal and getting them settled in for the evening, they used to walk out under the starlit night at the end of that day and gaze up in the sky. And what they used to look for was the North Star. And in this featureless prairie, for anybody who's been out in the prairies in the West, it was very difficult to navigate because there was no terrain features. So what he used to do is look for that North Star, and he used to walk to the front of his chuck wagon, and he would take the tongue of the chuck wagon that was rigged to the horses to tow it and turn it and point it directly at that North Star. And what that did is, every morning when the cowboys came for their breakfast and their coffee, they could walk by that tongue of that trailer, and they would orient themselves and lock on to where north was. So everybody involved in that cattle drive had a sense of direction at that time. Now, do we all have a sense of direction? No. Do we look up at night, look for that North Star? And that North Star is figurative, but at the same time, when we look up in a starlit night, take a moment to orient ourselves and think about the divine aspect of what's going on, and figure out, what direction do we want to head tomorrow? It gives us a moment to plan, to think about our day, to think about where we are now in that day and what we've accomplished. So, keeping that in mind, maybe that's something we need to do at the end of the day. We need to look up at that North Star and reflect on our day. Did we do something good? Did we help somebody? Did we accomplish our goals? Take that moment in the evening to look up into the sky. And by doing that, knowing our direction, others around us who we interact with it'll help them find their direction too. Because when we know our direction and we're not afraid to share our direction and the right path with other folks, they'll follow because we know direction. So keep that in mind. That's something to think about. Moving our quote trailer tongue is an action that we can't be afraid of. The time of fear of sharing our beliefs, our values, our spirituality, I think are open. The unfortunate assassination of Charlie Kirk has helped inspire us to push on. Let's share what we believe. And it's always someone else's option to either understand it, maybe adopt it, maybe not. But we have to be tolerant of those who don't. If it conflicts with what we know we need to do, then maybe it's time that we walk away from them respectfully. Difference of opinion, we can have that, and keep going and following our North Star, our trailer tongue. So, that being said, I'd like to leave that thought with you so that you can begin walking out in the evening and looking at your previous day and setting your trailer tongue to the North Star and sharing your direction with others without fear and without judgment of others. If they choose to follow, they choose to follow. If they don't, that's the path they've chosen, and it is what it is. It's for them to figure out and understand that our actions have consequences, and if it's right or wrong, we are responsible for those consequences, not those around us who life is better because we follow an action. Just peace out and toes up, butt down, and let's ride on through this trail of life and enjoy the ride. And when we hit an obstacle, let's overcome that obstacle, because we're riding on the back of the Almighty, who's our horse guiding us down the trail, and all we have to do is trust him, just like we would trust our horse out on the trail. The only difference is, with that spiritual aspect, it's not us trying to train a horse, it's a horse trying to train us. Not much different. So take care of yourselves, take care of others, and have a great week.